Welcome to the Motivate Podcast with Clint Armitage. We are trying to provide Christian motivation one show at a time, and the next one starts right now. Well, all right. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Clint Armitage, and I'm your host for the Message Motivate Podcast. It's awesome that you're able to join me again. I appreciate it. So today we're doing something a little bit different, and we're starting out with a two-part series entitled Mission Mapping. Today's podcast is going to be part one of two. And in this episode, we're going to attempt to identify what a God-given mission is and what it's not. And we're going to take a look at the first couple of steps that we could take towards identifying our mission. So we'll break down a few Bible verses, and then hopefully that'll get us started on the right path to gain some wisdom from God on the subject. And then that'll finish out our part one of the series. Then in the next episode, we'll finish up the rest of the steps and Bible verses. And then we're actually going to be talking about an operational mission map. And that's going to help properly plan and then route a direction to take towards your God-given mission. Okay, so let's get started here. All right, so sometimes it may not be totally clear what your mission is. You may not know exactly what God has for you yet. So prayerfully, after this series, you'll be able to identify a starting point to get you moving in the right direction. Okay, all right, so sometimes Christians are perplexed about their mission because there's some confusion here. And it's possible what they're confused about is what they're doing is they're mixing up their eternal mission with their temporal/operational mission. And I'm going to explain the two right now. Okay, first, an eternal mission. An eternal mission transcends. It's a perpetual thing. Only God's overarching mission, for your life can be an eternal mission. It's basically your why. All right? Your why is eternal. It's eternally sourced and it stands the test of time, meaning it does not change. It's the same yesterday, today, and forever. That's just like Jesus, right? It's eternal. So that is your why. It's your overall purpose in life. For example, love God and love others. Okay, here's another one. Glorify God. See, those are eternal missions. Okay, now number two, your operational mission. Now this includes the logistics. So it's your what and your how. If your eternal mission is your why, then your operational mission is your what and your how. And your operational mission is not eternal. It's only temporal. And it can change. It can be modified. It's flexible. Okay? Your operational mission includes the plan and the actions that are put in place to fulfill your eternal mission. It's like the difference between a war and a battle. Winning the war for God is the eternal mission. Okay? But winning the battles within the war is the operational mission. And that's where some people get things mixed up. Okay? That's why they'll say stuff like this. This is what they'll say. God has called me to be a baker, which technically can be a true statement. But what they're really saying is they believe God's mission for their life is to be a baker. But being a baker is temporal. Baking is only a tool that God uses towards the eternal mission. See, you can't be a baker forever, so it can't be an eternal mission. But you can love God and love others as an eternal mission because love is eternal. See? And then your operational mission can include baking. And that's how you're going to be able to express how much you love God and love others. And then when you bake, you're baking with God's purposes in mind. You're baking for God. You're baking for others. And that's where contentment comes from. It comes from doing God's work, not your own work. All right. Do you see what I'm saying? I hope you do. So don't confuse your operational missions with your overall eternal mission. Because if you do it backwards, then what's going to happen is you're literally just working a career or a hobby, and you're not actually following a calling. All right. And then you're never really going to be satisfied. As a matter of fact, you may even get frustrated because you believe you're following your calling, but then you don't understand why you're not content. Why aren't you content following your calling? Because you have it backwards there. So being content with whichever way God leads you is a sign that you understand the difference between the two types of missions, right? If you understand what an eternal mission is and it doesn't change, you're good. If you understand what an operational mission is that changes all the time and you understand that, then you're good. Okay? So those are kind of the two missions, right? And a great example of this is Tim Tebow. Now, I'm sure most of you know who Tim Tebow is. God has used this guy since he's been very young. And if you don't know Tim's story, you should look it up. It's pretty inspiring. But anyway, Tim Tebow understands the difference between the two missions. He clearly states his eternal mission on a regular basis. So if you watch any of his interviews or search his website or read up on his social media, you'll see these words: loving Jesus and loving people. And he says this is the basis for the Christian faith. And he's 100% correct. But it's also a qualifier as an eternal mission. Okay? Then his foundation's website includes this statement: to bring faith, hope, and love to those needing a brighter day in their darkest hour of need. Now that statement defines an operational mission. So you see, an operational mission is temporal and it's flexible. There's a number of ways that you can logistically satisfy an operational mission, right? There's a bunch of different ways to bring faith, hope, and love to those needing a brighter day in their darkest hour of need. See? So that kind of results from an operational mission will ultimately satisfy an eternal mission. So we explained it there. Now you know the difference between the two types of missions. Let's look at how to identify your operational mission. And this is going to lead us straight to prayer, because prayer must be the first thing you do to figure out your mission. Now, it's only logical to ask the one who gives missions to brief you on your mission, right? It's logical. So step 1, we ask God. All right, so let's look at some verses here. Psalm 32:8 says this: I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. All right? So we need to pray to God to instruct us in the way we should go. He's going to show us our operational mission, so we need to ask him. All right, next Bible verse, James 1:5. This is what it states: if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. See, God's wisdom is infallible, right? Having God's wisdom saves you time, effort, and energy when you're trying to identify and follow your mission. And he's going to be generous in giving us the doses of his wisdom. So don't neglect the opportunity that's available to you, okay? All right, next verse. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6 says this: trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. See, this sometimes is hard for us because we have problems letting go in our life and giving full control to God. Okay, we say let go and let God and all that, and then in our minds we may even believe it a little bit. But when the rubber really meets the road, we kind of have a hard time letting someone else take control of our lives, right? It's like when you're trying to teach a new driver on a public road, if you've ever done that. When they do something, scary and we're not comfortable with it, we immediately want to grab the wheel from them. We want to take control back, right? Even if we don't actually grab the wheel, we seriously wanted to grab the wheel, right? If you've ever done it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, next verse. Matthew 6:33 says this: but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. All right, so when trying to find your mission, avoid thinking and worrying about anything physical, okay, especially how you're going to feed or clothe yourself. By focusing on the physical needs, what happens is we kind of detract ourselves from the mission that God has called us to. This is where doubt creeps in, and it creates a collision between our fears and our faith. And if we choose fear, then we're probably going to abandon God's mission, and we're going to veer towards the road that seems more viable, more probable, and more safe. But what we're doing is actually relying on our own wisdom and not God's wisdom. And I know it can be scary. I felt that stress from that collision many times. And sometimes I've chosen my faith and sometimes I've chosen my fears. It's definitely hard. I get it. So just be prepared by getting as close to God as you can to strengthen your faith. Then the decision is going to be that much more easier to make. So you don't have to lean on your own understanding like Proverbs 3 says, right? Okay, so we got through step 1, and what we're going to do in the next episode, because we're finishing up this one, we're gonna talk about the other steps, and then we're going to actually look at a mission map. So thanks for joining me today, and make sure to come back for our next episode to get the information on the operational mission map. If you want to support the podcast, go to our website and make a purchase in the store, and that'll get you a cool t-shirt or a hat or something like that with Christian motivation, and it'll help support our broadcast. All right? Until next time, stay safe and stay motivated. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Motivate Podcast with Clint Armitage. If you want to get in touch, email us at info@clintarmitage.com.